Hey, Chase, it's Joe Person. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Joe.
Wonder if you could kind of assess the punting competition between Vedvik and Charlton. Do you view it as a competition?
Definitely a competition. They've come to work every day, competed, punted. Both had their ups and downs, but every day they get better, they improve. Two guys that are really competitive and focus on the details and want to perfect their craft, which is, as a coach, is all you can ever ask. And so, for me, this thing will play out the way it plays out, and that'll be, head coach and Marty will all get together and at some point and go through it. But they're competing; they'll compete again tomorrow.
Am I right to assume that if Vedvik were to make the team, it would be as a punter versus a kicker, and that Joey's your kicker?
Corey's done everything we've asked. He's punting and kicking. He's doing everything we ask, and right now he's doing a pretty darn good job at both. So we'll continue to evaluate as we end this and wrap this whole thing up.
Chase, this is Miles Simmons from Panthers.com. How unique is it to have a guy like Vedvik who can do both of those things and apparently do them at a pretty good level?
Yeah, it's definitely unique. One of the things that's been crazy, honestly, in my coaching career is, I had Graham Gano, who punted and, was a Ray Guy Award winner and could obviously kicked and was able to do both. Punted in a game when Andy Lee got hurt and did it quite well. And Joey, and then Mike Pilardi, same thing. He's able to kick off, kick field goals. He's a combo guy that can do all three. And, it's always good, especially in a training camp where, our numbers, we want to get a number of returners, chances to catch the ball, return live kicks off the foot, not just off the jugs. And to have Corey doing the same thing and doing it at a high level is pretty unique and really cool to see.
Chase, Steve Reed from the AP. What about your return, punt returner, kick returner? Who's leading the way there right now, you think?
I mean, obviously, all options are still on the table. We'll see how this thing all shakes out. We've had a lot of guys do an outstanding job. Farrell's done unbelievable back there. He's a pro, comes to work every day. He's a joy to be around. Like, he just loves football and loves to compete. So he's done an excellent job. And Christian, DJ, Curtis, all those guys take reps every day. And, with Coach Rule, all options are on the table. So as this thing all shakes out, they'll have the ultimate say. And we'll put our best people on the field and ready to go on next week.
Thanks, Mike Solarte with Spectrum News 1. When it comes to coverage, obviously it was an all defensive draft, rookie class. How are the rookies finding their way? Because a lot of times the rookies have to earn their stripes on special teams before they crack the lineup on the defensive side. How are these guys contributing? And has one guy in the rookie class really kind of jumped out and said, hey, this is something I like to do and can do?
Yeah, I think as a whole, that whole class, not just the drafted players, but the undrafted guys as well, have just really shown up and competed. And they all every day are scratching and clawing, trying to steal reps from one another, which is awesome because they don't want to ever get outworked. That Coach Rule's done an outstanding job of pushing the competition and pushing the competitive nature of our team and the toughness portion. And guys don't want to fall behind. They don't want to miss a rep. And so that's been really cool to see. Along with that, some young players still in their second, third year are doing the same things. Not to be outdone by the young guys and not to be outcast. So it's been really, as a special teams coordinator, that the competition at the bottom of the roster, when you have that, it's going to make us all better. And I think we've all benefited as a whole, the young guys and the guys, even in their second, third, fourth years, have really benefited from the competition down at that back part of, quote unquote, back part of the roster.
If I could just follow up quickly with that, when it comes to the guys that have been there, is there a returning player that you worked with last season that you're kind of leaning on to show these guys the ropes? And a guy like maybe Reggie Bonifant kind of comes to mind, where he was key in both sides of the return game.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. We still have enough guys, quite a few number of guys returning that played special teams for us last year. They've all been vital in the learning of the young players and helping me out and communicating the message. Because when we talk about the learning of special teams, it's and anything, coach to player is one type of learning, but once the players can teach it and help out, I mean, it takes it to a whole new level, and they really encompassed it. And a number of those second, third year guys have really given their input and bought in, and we have a really smart and talented young class also. And, at the end of the day, whoever's on our 53 is going to compete, and we'll put them out there, and they'll be ready to go because they've earned it. So, to say one guy's leading the way or anything else, I wouldn't want to speculate on that. But, a guy like JJ Jets has been instrumental in everything because of the young specialist, number one, and then with the punt team, he knows everything in and out and is able to help those guys out and communicate on the field, and is like a third coach for me and Ed to be out there and instruct.
Hey Chase, it's Elena Getzenberg. Good to see you. I was wondering for you, how do you kind of use, someone who can kick and punt, like in this season? How much do you kind of let that, I know you're not making the decision by yourself, but how do you kind of let that impact, what they're doing versus, keeping that in the back of your mind?
Yeah, I think that's something we've got to talk about this weekend. I think as a whole, we got to figure out where it all fits. And obviously there's a value to that. So like I said, even right now, to be able to get the returners all the catches and work multiple people in the back end, that's hugely beneficial for our team. Instead of just catching off of jugs. And then, with the uniqueness of 2020 and the season and everything else, then, there's some value to it. So we'll evaluate that and continue to have those discussions.
Chase,
It's Jason Huber with WFNZ. As one of the very few returning coaches on this team this year, what's been your impression of working with Matt Rule so far, and just kind of the differences with everyone new coming in?
Yeah, I mean, it's been eye-opening, like the amount of competition that we have, the way we practice. I think the energy in the staff, we're young staff, and the energy, it infects the people, which I think could be a huge advantage for us this year. Even the early games, if we don't have fans, having that energy on the sideline in practice definitely helps us out and brings that to a head and gives us a little bit of excitement from the sidelines. But for Coach to just done, to me, the practice, the way it's been set up with the situations and getting us in and out of things, and even the way he structured practice to compete right away. You go into it and you just go, and that's really awesome. And the guys have really bought in as a whole, and I think it's going to take us a long way.
Hey, we'll take one more question for Coach Blackburn.
Okay, Miles Simmons again. How has not having preseason games affected the way that you can evaluate guys, because you're not really seeing them go up against anybody else in terms of just getting that special teams competition in those preseason games?
I think we've done a pretty good job of getting the competition within the practices or scrimmages or whatever you want to call them. But, we've had couple live reps, and we've had some stuff where, we work different situations. So we're able to evaluate their talent level and their football IQ at the same time, based upon situations and the stuff that Coach and Ed and myself have put the guys in and figured out ways to get them in space and see how they move. And, as a whole, we a lot of your evaluation comes from practice anyway. And I think because of having no preseason games, it's picked up the intensity of our practices, which gives us a lot more days to evaluate than just those 4 preseason games.